What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today's video is going to be an extremely bad one because, honestly, there was a feature that was recently introduced into Modern Warfare 3 that I thought was just absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, it was a bit buggy, but overall, the concept was phenomenal. And it was recently stripped, and I'm worried that Activision is going to try to use whatever this feature was against us. And they're going to try to use it to force skill-based matchmaking to stay the way that they want it to be within the Call of Duty franchise. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time, mostly Modern Warfare 3, but we are going to dabble in X-Defiant, obviously, when that game launches, and we try to talk about other FPS games from time to time, but mostly Call of Duty. So like I said, if you're interested, subscribe and hit that bell. And last but not least, if you guys want to go ahead and check out any of my live streams, I will be live today over on Kick. That stream will be up around 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so recently, ladies and gentlemen, in Modern Warfare 3, if you've been playing as well, you probably noticed, they added a stay in lobby feature within the game. So basically, at the end of every single match, you would have a, option if you want to stay in the exact same game. Now, I don't know if this personally worked too well, because I feel like over half the time, it didn't really stick me with the same players, but you have to keep in mind, others have to notice it, and they never made this public. They put the feature in the game, but if it wasn't for other content creators and other people out there talking about it, nobody would know it was a thing within Modern Warfare 3. Nobody would, have a clue. So, you got to keep that in mind. That's probably why it felt like it was bugged, because nobody was even pressing it in the first place. And the majority of the time, the people who were pressing it were probably the sweatier players of the lobby, because they're more likely to notice. But overall, I appreciate the effort. I've been asking for them to put in a feature, non-disbanding lobbies for ages. The whole community has. They said they're going to do it in the experimental playlist, but we haven't even heard of the experimental playlist since basically the launch of this game, and it's just mind-boggling why that hasn't been reintroduced into the title. It really worries me. But still, they said that they were going to go ahead and do some, work behind the scenes to see if they can introduce non-disbanding lobbies, and it'll be good for their metrics, right? They told us they were going to do that, and here we are. They put in the feature. It's a step in the right direction. Not completely there yet. And personally, I would say the way it should be, obviously, is just make it non-disbanding lobbies by default. You don't have to add in a little check feature to tell people if they want to stay in the game or not. Just keep it how it was in OG COD. I'm trying to think of how to word this, but I mean, it's extraordinarily simple. I don't know why I'm trying to think so hard about it. It really is not that complex. So it's no reason to describe or explain this. Have it like OG Call of Duty. The lobbies don't disband, and if someone gets annoyed with the lobby, they leave. It's always been so simple. It never made sense to me why it has to boot people out, besides the fact that they have to work with the algorithm and, obviously take into consideration the stats of every single lobby. And the best way of doing so is by booting them out of every single lobby and putting them with fresh players, and boot them and put them with fresh players, and boot them, put them with fresh players, and constantly evaluate that player. But this right here is where it gets spicy, because that's the system they want, right? Activision wants to have it to where, every single lobby disbands, so this algorithm can stay active and they can keep making a ton of money. So, hear me out here. I personally believe, tinfoil hat theory, that they put this into the game. They introduced this feature because, keep in mind, they really did put it in the game. It was there. It was live. It was in action. But they didn't shout it out. They didn't say anything. They didn't, actually notify the community. They did that on purpose, so later down the road, they can obviously remove it, and they can have solid proof that they did indeed test out this feature, that it was incorporated, and behind the scene, metrics claim that non-disbanding lobbies is not a good idea. Right? I know, it might sound crazy, but I would not push it past Activision, because they know for a fact, freaking fact, that if they were to go ahead and put out a public test, if they were to go ahead and put something together for the community to actually try out, like in the public experimental playlist, if they did that and then actually tell the community saying, hey, at this time, around this date, we are going to be putting in, non-disbanding lobbies and testing it out to see how the community likes it. We're going to have surveys. Make sure you fill them out, give us your feedback. They know for a fact that if they were to go ahead and do such a thing, that everything would crumble and that they would literally, quite literally be forced to basically fold because they have the community coming back at them. We know the community wants this because it doesn't affect anything. I'm going to say it again. Non-disbanding lobbies doesn't affect anyone besides Activision. Because since the beginning of time, when someone doesn't enjoy a match, they just simply leave. And they'll do the same exact thing right now. If they don't enjoy the match, they will simply leave it. So, non-disbanding or, having this feature or not having this feature does nothing for the overall community at all. Well, it obviously benefits us with having non-disbanding lobbies compared to, having disbanding lobbies. But at the end of the day, the point being made, the only person it benefits to have any of this stuff for is Activision because it's for their algorithm. People don't care. They will just simply leave the game. So we know people will support this, and they know that as well. They know if they put in an experimental playlist and say, hey guys, check this out right now, try out non-disbanding lobbies, give feedback, they know they'll be forced to fold. So instead, what's a better way of going about it? Secretly adding in the feature and then secretly removing it. And then later down the road, they can literally go on as long as they want, ignore the community, not do anything to disco-based matchmaking, and eventually down the road, if it gets really bad and people start getting extremely angry, they can just simply say, yep, we put it in the game. We tried it. It just didn't work. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to. The community didn't enjoy it. People were leaving too frequently. They can say whatever they want because it's nothing, there to actually see right now. They literally just secretly add it in and then secretly take it out without even publicly announcing it so everybody in the community can know. Only a handful of individuals or people who watch content creators will actually figure out, that this feature was introduced. It seems a bit sus if you ask me, and I think Activision is doing something behind the scenes. But again, this is all just, tinfoil hat theory stuff right now. If we're going to be really realistic here, more than likely what actually happened is, like I said, either one, they messed up and it was a bugged feature and they had to remove it so they can reintroduce it back into the game in a functional state, or two, maybe this wasn't supposed to drop at all and it was accidentally dropped, and this is a feature planned out for a future update. Because I'll be real, this is weird that Sledgehammer isn't saying anything about this, right? Sledgehammer's been very active with their community. They usually talk with us about basically everything that goes on in this game besides this one feature. So, that could be bad. That could prove that, Activision is doing something here, and they're trying to keep it, a secret, and they don't want anybody to talk about it because they do want to force it against the community. Or it could mean that Sledgehammer is prepping for a future season or a future content drop. Because let's be real here, what's something that the community has been waiting for? Non-disbanding lobbies. So how can you get more players back into the game? Well, mid-season event, that's already going to be hyped enough because it's going to be content within the event. But what can make people really last in the mid-season event a bit longer, right? Because usually they don't last that long. They die out pretty quickly. What can make people last longer? Well, let's actually try out non-disbanding lobbies. This could have been just a feature that was accidentally dropped in the game. They removed it, didn't say anything about it because obviously it's planned for later and they didn't want to spoil anything. And we'll see this actually in the blog, post, maybe for the mid-season event, and they'll actually experiment with this. That's more of a realistic, thing that's probably going on here than my tinfoil hat theory. But still, I wouldn't push it past Activision for them to have that type of mindset. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning into the video. Go down in the comment section, leave your opinions about how you feel about all this stuff. Do you think Activision is purposely trying to hide this feature so they can use it against us and say they did add it in and it wasn't successful? Or do you think it was a hidden feature that wasn't supposed to drop yet and it's going to come later on, or it was too bugged and it just simply didn't work and they need to take it back so they can make it better? I don't know. I would just want to know what you guys think down in the comments section. But as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And if you are interested in any of my live streams, I do that pretty much daily as well over on Kick. It starts around 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. As always, thank you for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.